Okay, so, okay, let's do some practice that is, yeah, very restful, because I don't think sleep has been going too wonderfully for any of us at this moment in time. So we're going to do a restful practice. Just decide how you want to place your body. And that might be, just sat down. I just like to sit down, just make sure my neck is a bit supported. If I nod off, it's a bit supported. And then just come to, if you feel safe enough, just bring your eyes to a gentle close. And just fill in with the body. Just fill in with those points of comfort that we talk about. So other parts of the body that feel comfortable, and other parts of the body where there may be numbness, there may be discomfort, or even a varying degree of pain. And if that's the case, then let's just try and find somewhere neutral. And this can be within the body or close to the body. So it might be a piece of clothing, maybe the seam of a piece of clothing. I've got a toggle on my hoodie, so it might be textural. I want to just bring my attention to the texture of the clothing. Or you might want to think about the surface that's holding you. So the surface that's supporting you in the position that you've chosen to practice in. And just know that you are welcome to this practice. And every part of you is welcome. The part that's irritated, the part that's annoyed at something, the part of you that was expecting something, has an expectation, has a pain, has a discomfort, or a thought of negativity. All of you is welcome. So everything doesn't need to be perfect. You have permission to be completely yourself and to acknowledge all of the smooth parts of you and all of the rough, knotted and dry parts also. And with that permission that you give yourself, just feel a sense of heaviness, just being invited into the body, and just see if you can make contact or just become aware of points of the body which are drawing that heaviness straight away. So they might be the heels, the left heel and the right heel, maybe the calves of each leg, or maybe just one leg. The sit bones held by the surface underneath them, the sofa or the chair or the bed. Just see if you can cultivate a feeling of heaviness, a feeling of the body being supported. The lower back, each shoulder. How do they feel in comparison to one another? And the back of the head and the very top of the head. And you might be slightly distracted. Maybe some thoughts have started up. Or maybe a noise has grabbed your attention. And you're wondering what it is. If that's the case, just bring yourself back to a feeling of heaviness throughout the body. And it might not be a feeling. You could just maybe trace the letters in your imagination with the dominant finger. So H, E, A, V, and Y. Just see those words and just let go into that heaviness. And you can do this on the exhale, just because it's a releasing. You are releasing air from the body. So maybe you can feel the body drop. Or feel more into those points of contact with the surface. Just feeling that heaviness throughout the body, just settling. And if you pass over into deep rest or sleep, then that is absolutely fine. If you want to move, that is also okay. And let's just bring some awareness just into various parts of the body, just to inquire into how they're feeling, or how they're speaking, or anything that appears in the mind, in the ether, when we bring our awareness to that point. And we can start with the top of the head. That's a fairly neutral part of the body. And we can, maybe there's hair on the top of the head, or maybe there's the hair follicles, or maybe there's no hair. And then we can come down to the forehead, and then the left eyebrow and the right eyebrow, and then the space between the eyebrows. It's just a piece of our anatomy. It doesn't have to have any special meaning. Let's just see if we can place awareness there. And then the left eye and the right eye. Again, just placing awareness there and just seeing behind the closed eyes. Is there anything that we can see? So if you have your eyes closed, you might see just like waves of energy. You might see colours. You might just see a void of darkness. And then just coming down to the nose, both the nostrils, and then the cheeks, and then the lips, the upper lip and the lower lip, that space between the lips, which gently takes you inside of the mouth. And all the time, every time we get distracted or we follow a narrative of thought or a sound, or we realize we've been distracted, you can just bring yourself back to my voice, back to the stillness. And then bring the awareness to the tip of the tongue. The root of the tongue, the whole tongue in the mouth. And then coming out through the space between the lips, down the front of the throat and over the Adam's apple to the small nodule in the center of the collarbone, and then down the center of the ribs, and then seeing the left ribs and the right ribs, all the muscles that hold the ribs together. And then the back of the ribs. So on the left, going into the back, and the right, going into the back. And then the center of the back, reaching round to the front, and under the center of the breastbone, the heart space. Just coming down to the navel. Just maybe feeling that navel expanding and contracting. Just like a rocking of the breath. Obviously, the actual breath doesn't come down past the lungs. Just the act of rumination that just allows the navel to gently rise and fall. And then down into the hips, feeling both the inside of the hips and also the outside, so the surface supporting the hips, allowing you to just take this restful and quiet time. And then the thighs, you've got the front of the thighs and the back of the thighs and the inside and outside of them. The knees, coming down to the shins and the calves, down to the ankles and the heels, the top of each foot, and then the ball of each foot. And let's really have a look into the bottom of the feet. So we have the part just behind the heel, that expands, and then the middle of the foot, where we can see the arch of each foot. And even if you have what's called a flat arch or a high arch, it's still an arch. It's your foot, or where your foot was. And then behind the toes, let's see if we can just relax behind the big toes and the second toes on each foot, the third toes, the fourth toes, and the little pinky toes. Just that expanse behind the toes. Just feeling into that possibly quite neutral space. And then just feeling the body as a whole. Just feeling again, are there some parts that feel more comfortable? Some parts which feel, oh, there was discomfort there, but now I've scanned through, maybe something is a little more comfortable, or maybe the pain is a little less. And it doesn't have to be physical pain. So just bring in yourself to the body as a whole and just surveying how each part of the body feels in this moment. And just know that all of however you're feeling, as we said at the start of the practice, all the feelings are welcome. And if this is the most that you do today, just to rest, just to accept the invitation of rest, or just to see which parts of the body are louder and which parts are quieter, then that's absolutely okay. There's nothing to be here in this space. You can just be you. And just tune into how you really feel in this moment. There might be lots of worries outside of the practice, or there might be no worries. Either way, we're just making some space for ourselves. And so that maybe the road ahead, or the space that we're inhabiting at this moment, just becomes a little clearer. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but at some point. So we're always trusting. We don't have to think about being able to trust, because we just trust. And so start to just bring yourself back into the space that you're practicing in. And you can do this a variety of ways. So one way would be to listen either to the vibration or sounds that are coming into the room. Maybe try and hear the sound that's furthest away. And then once you've heard a sound, you can just bring yourself back in, track back. So the sound that sounds a little bit louder from there, and then sounds inside the room, and then sounds that are close to the body. And then you can hear those sounds in the distance again, and then sounds that are near to you, and sounds in the distance, and find yourself between all the different sounds. And you could do this by just breathing a little deeper. So we're not looking at doing, it's not about the lungs, it's just literally about making that breath just a little more audible, just so that you can hear it a little more and come back to the body. And you might want to swallow as well if you've got very relaxed, or if you've rested during the practice. A lot of saliva can build up, so you might want to take a swallow. And that might prompt you to start moving the tongue and feel the inside of both the cheeks. And then bring some movement to the outside of the body. Either one hand supporting maybe the movement of another, or maybe just even contracting the hips so it doesn't look as if you're moving, but you are bringing some movement, bringing yourself back into the body so that you can then open your eyes with that downward gaze. So letting the colour back in very gradually and reorientating yourself back into the room or the space that you practiced in.